a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail or Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. And I have a wonderful, internationally known guest today who has some very interesting things to talk about. And let me bring him on, and he can tell you more about his background, but he's been all over the place. He's a researcher, investigative journalist, and all those good things. And his life experiences, he's a cancer survivor. So let me bring him on.
Hello.
Hi,
Gail.
Mike. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, just beautiful. I'll tell you, it's just another great day here, you know, in the land of the loving and willing.
That's a good way of putting it. You've been quite a survivor, shall we say, of multiple cancers, which is amazing. And you have some a love story to share about that as well. Should we go there? Or?
You know, it's a lot of people say, Mike, tell me who you are, and it's sort of a difficult thing to do. I'm a former pro race car driver that got in a bad wreck in 1995. That wreck caused paralysis and serious bodily trauma, including severe epilepsy and more. So my history is pretty deep, and as far as in cannabis, you know, I started using cannabis so long ago, I can't even remember. I was a kid, you know, and as how I used it after the fact as a race car driver. Well, I didn't use a whole lot of cannabis then, more so after that wreck that hurt me so bad. You know, I didn't go through my first round of cancer until 2003, which is 20 years ago, non-Hodgkin's. And here I am, you know, 2 decades later in my fourth battle against the same cancer, showing that it's not just genetics, but an environment of harm that we live in that causes.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
So I really jumped through the years there. I spent about 2 decades after that wreck, once I could walk again, as a pro bono civil rights lobbyist representing kids in special education disputes. And after doing that for nearly 2 decades, I had a roommate introduce me to CBD, but I didn't even know it was CBD. You know, I actually, you know, it's sort of interesting when people look at my history and go, Mike, how did you become a cannabis researcher? Because that's who I am. I'm the founder of the Global Cannabinoid Research Center.
Yeah, that's big.
Former director of the American Academy of Cannabinoid Medicine, director of communications there. And before that, I ran the largest compassion program the U.S. has ever seen. I did a 100 million milligram giveaway. I'm not bragging. Compassion is not convenient at all. It's not something we do to pat ourselves on the back. There's a reason behind it. When you fight cancer, you beat cancer and you stay alive and you thrive and you make it through your illnesses. Helping other people is almost like your duty in life to me. You know, it's not just like some nice thing to do. Oh, what a great guy. Whenever somebody says, oh, Mike, it's cool, you know, you're doing this or that, I let them know, hey, you know, this all started when that roommate over a decade ago, I was telling you about, from Korea, had a visa from Korea, acupuncturist. I have a seizure. This is 2013, before any of this happens. You know, and I have a seizure, I fall into bed and tear an ab muscle. And I you know, going to ER and they're telling me I'm going to have surgery. And one thing they said is, you're not going to eat much. So I came home and I was telling other roommates this, and I was sitting outside a backyard, little alcove area, and we had a bong, and I smoked cannabis. Back then, I thought, hey, smoking weed will treat my epilepsy. Wrong. A lot of us didn't know for such a long time we need to actually ingest this plant in its acidic forms and other forms to treat our various different maladies that we have. So I'm back here, trying to smoke this bong load. This is a decade ago, and this Korean roommate comes out and says, "Michael, son, no, can't eat it all." And I'm like, Henry, and his name was Fu Wong Chang, but we called him Henry. And I'm like, look, Henry, I know I can't eat it all, okay? I just came from the hospital. He told me that. I had a big old bulge. He goes, look, no. And I was like, yeah, I have a torn ab muscle, and I just tried to smoke the cannabis. And one of the other roommates was like, no, he's telling you need to eat the plant. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, Henry.
I've tried that before. It doesn't taste that good.
I'll tell you, and back when you're a stoner, puff a token, hit your bong. You know what I mean? Yeah, like this joint right here, for example. Okay, if I eat this joint, I'm not going to get high. Okay, it's not going to do that much for me. But one hit, boom, right? So I mean that's the example. But what we found over the last 2 decades and all this time is that cannabinoid medicine has a lot more to do with somebody smoking a joint, and that's not even the tip of the iceberg. That's like barely touching it. So anyway, this roommate takes off to his little acupuncture office and comes back with these little herbal medicines. And he actually says, Michael, son, can't eat it all. And I've got a YouTube video I'll share with you after this. You could post. And it's a short little snippet of this where I explain about this whole story. But it was so interesting because a week and a half goes by of him going on and on and on about how I can't eat it all. And I'm eating my raw cannabis along with these Chinese herbs, Korean herbs, whatever. He always made herbs get a stomach problem, whatever he had going on. He had a little herbal ball for you. And he gave me a whole container of them. And I'm like, I can't eat it all, but I can take a bunch of these little rabbit pellets. And I'm like taking 5, 6, 8 of them at a time. He's like, no, 1, 2. And I'm just taking whatever I want. And I'm learning a decade ago what I preach today from the stage to doctors. And that's that patients will develop their own protocol. When something works for a patient, they will naturally figure it out, even if they don't even know what they have in front of their hands. So here I am with Henry or Fu Wong Chung's Can't Eat It All, and my ground up cannabis. I'm used to smoking. I'm putting the ground up cannabis into my tofu, calling it weed foo, laughing. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make it. It took 7 months to get surgery on that torn ab muscle. That's how long I went with not being able to eat it all. But 10 days into this whole trip, I got sick and tired of these little pellets, not being able to eat, really got on my, oh man, I got mad about it. And one day I was like, I don't need these Chinese, and I did one of those like throws to the garbage can like a basketball player. And Henry came walking through the door with another roommate. And he said, Michael, son, no. I'm like, look, Henry, a piece of paper, pen, write it down. I'm tired of hearing this. Such a bad mood I was in. Another guy sitting at the table, he's like, Mike, you want to come take a look at this? And he's got CANNABI. And I was like, that's cannabis. It's weed. I smoke weed. I have a cannabis card. And I'm a sarcastic person. So I'm like, tell me something I don't know, Henry. I can't eat it all and I smoke cannabis. Thank you. And he's like, no. And it only says cannabi, right? Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, Michael, son, can't eat it all. And finally something clicked. And I took that piece of paper and I went into my home office in my room and I pulled up cannabi plus can't eat it all. Just in a Google search. And this is like 2013. There's no Charlotte's Web out. There's nothing. Yeah. And up pops a article from the UK Daily Mail, one of the first articles, a reprint of like one of the first articles on Charlotte, talking, and it's Paige Figi talking about how this plant is helping her daughter not seize. And keep in mind, I'm a suit-wearing civil rights lobbyist suing state entities over serious situations, abuse, restraint, seclusion against kids in special education. That's what I did.
Yes.
So
That's
I had a
awesome.
very serious role in life, right?
Uh,
And so I pull up this search and I see this, and I'm on Facebook too on that computer, and I'm like, wow, I need this weed. That's all I could think of because my mind thought stoner. I actually didn't think cannabinoid. It thought get high. It didn't really know, how to use the
right. Well, they
medicine.
wouldn't even let us research over here for the longest time.
Exactly. And see, the thing about it is, though, online, though, we don't really know what we're looking for until we get led to the right place. And what I found was that I didn't know anything at all about cannabis as medicine. And I had a medical card for a dozen years. And here I was buying things at dispensaries, spending all kinds of money, getting high, and
That's-
and and I changed the word. Okay, we're medicated, we're not high. Okay, and it's like that's all nice, but the bottom line of it is that I just didn't quite know how to use cannabis for my particular need, for my own personal protocol the right way yet. And through this guy from Korea who's back there now, I got introduced to CBD. By the time he gave that information to me, you got to figure this is 10 days into it, and I'm not seizing. Somebody who's had seizures every day isn't seizing anymore at all. And now I realize I'm using CBD, so I go online typing away. I need the weed Charlotte has. I mean, I'm posting pictures of pot plants. I need this CBD. I'm not really thinking much of this. I'm a civil rights lobbyist. I've got a lot of cases open. I'm litigating. What's going to come next?
Uh-oh.
At my front door. Mr. Robinson, yes, you've been served. What's this? Notice to dismiss the appearance of the petitioner's representative. I'm like, whoa. Petitioner's representative is under the influence of a Schedule I substance. I got kicked off of
Schedule
all.
one. What a joke that is.
So
Anyway.
attorneys used the fact that I was using cannabis to just get rid of me. It's like, here's this guy making us spend millions of dollars in legal funds to ward off his attacks because we're doing some nasty stuff to disable kids. I mean, you don't put kids in timeout rooms, timeout cells, seclusion chairs, violating the civil rights of children is something I take seriously. When you do that, it's very easy for any American to file a lawsuit as a non-attorney rep. And I acted as a non-attorney rep for 2 decades as a registered civil rights lobbyist in the state of California and beyond. I worked all over the nation. So bottom line for me was that was my life. And suddenly it just caved in. Every single case I was on, either I got booted off of or I had parents call me and then be like, it's Mike, and be like, Mr. Robinson, we are no longer interested in having you represent us. Be okay. Well, I'm working for free, so I guess you can't fire somebody.
Wow.
The next move is I substitute out to an attorney. So who are you paying? And so I had a lot of that go on. And of course, the biggest sentiment from the public was, wow, the one guy that has nationwide pro bono civil rights lobbyists across
Going
the
to bed,
LinkedIn
people.
is gone. I was just gone. I was the last one left. And boom, now, but what did I do? I was like, what do I do at this point? And 3 different computers set up around me doing legal search so I could fight legal teams and all these cases I worked on for these kids. And I immediately thought, well, I'll get all the CBD I can and I'll give it to my former clients. And compassion programs were born. Literally within the first few weeks of taking a cannabinoid the right way, I started giving it away. And here we are a decade later, and it'll either be today or tomorrow, but I might as well announce on your show here that we're getting ready to launch a 1 billion milligram giveaway in which I've partnered with an entity that's going to give away that much. I mean, we're talking about
Wow.
1,000 kilos of
To
product
help
are going to
people.
be given away to people through different foundations that can come. And by far, this will top everything that I've ever done in the past. I mean, there's been huge amounts of oils given away, but 1 billion milligrams, we're talking about $750,000 of the product before you even send it out. I mean, so I'm really excited about that,
Good
and
reason to be. Yes.
and,
Wow.
you know,
That's
and I've skipped over so much because a show's only so long, but in my whole run against all this, I started using CBD because of seizures. So literally, that's what I was doing there, was stopping the seizures. Then I started using some THC oil to quit the medications I was on. I was on a dozen different pharmaceuticals. I cut that down to only 3 by
I
using
used
oils for 45 days. And I wish I would have used them for longer because I didn't know I had cancer brewing again. Little did I know when I started talk about divine intervention or some kind of intervention,
divine.
blame it on the stars, the universe, divine, God, whoever you believe in. Bottom line of it is, I was introduced to these oils right as non-Hodgkin's was coming back in a full bore attack from the 2003 fight I had, along with 2 more cancers. In 2015, I was diagnosed with not 1, not 2, but 3 different stage 4 cancers
Stay.
simultaneously.
Oh,
Simultaneously, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, diffuse large B cell, uh, not nodular histoic lymphoma, and prostate cancer. And I'm the former director of the American Academy of Cannabinoid Medicine and ordered my file charts into the Academy in 2018 after this cancer battle to get it all into the Academy and reviewed. So we're not just talking about somebody typing something on social media, they did this or that. This is something that's medically recorded. And now here I am in 2023 in yet another battle against non-Hodgkin's, but it's only got 1. So how did I successfully beat 3 stage 4 cancers? Well, if I say how, now that I have product lines being launched, I guess that would be medical claims, and I can't really do that. But one thing I can say is nature rules. One thing I can say is in late 2015, I had surgeons wanting to operate. I didn't let them. I walked away with all those cancers. I treated myself. I eventually won, but I got lucky. There was something in the stars, divine intervention, you name it.
divine intervention. You were bringing service to others with
Call it what
all
you
that you
want.
were doing.
Call it what you want, but my message is to the people out there that believe that 60 grams of RSO will beat cancer in 90 days. That's a meme that was made to sell oil. That's not true. It's not reality at all. And nobody knows what one individual will need, how much oil of this type or that type, what cannabinoid they're going to need. There's a lot of hype going on over like the Rick Simpson thing. It's still moving. Rick Simpson's came and gone long ago. He still talks here and there, but there's been a lot of imitating of him. And the RSO movement has actually sort of watered itself down. And it's one reason why I came forward with a new brand, CBGA Crumble, which is located at cbgacrumble.com. It's pretty easy to find. And I'm planning on bringing forward some products that are legitimate, lab tested, things like CBGA, CBDA, minor cannabinoids that we know now are extremely powerful, to give people some options so they're not out there online paying $2,000-$3,000 for these packages of oil that they could get for $500 that they could get it for a lot more affordable and lab tested and cleaned through a source with a branded packaged legitimate product. So to me, of course that won't be THC oil, and I do believe in THC. But when I look at all of this, a lot of people ask me, Mike, how did you beat those cancers? It was love. I mean, through that compassion program, I gave away so much oil, and that was love in itself. It was sort of
Yes.
like love in motion. traveling around
Yes.
the nation, giving away oils of all these types, and and statute of limitations passed, so I can talk about that. But probably wouldn't
Oh, for
matter. I put
pity's
so
sake.
many miles. I tell you, so many miles on Amtrak. But the bottom line of it is, eventually, I came to the door that's about 8 feet away from me, my own front door, and knocked on it to see a little girl named Genevieve. She just turned 13, and the cannabis love story was born. Another something
You
you
know
can
what?
read
I can
about very
share the
easy.
page that shows that if you like.
Yeah, cannabislovestory.com is the whole
Mm,
website that has
mm,
multiple articles about our family, how we came together over the plant.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
I have to jump around a lot in a podcast because we have such a big, long, expansive story. And I definitely can revisit. But the cannabis love story is something I believe everybody should read about. It's something very, very different. Um, the cannabis plant took me, somebody that was a civil rights lobbyist representing kids around the nation pro bono, and turned me into a compassion provider giving away oil to kids around the nation pro bono. So
Yeah.
wow, what a beautiful thing. It took me out of an ugly law situation where everybody's fighting and put me into a position to where I could help. And as a pro bono civil rights lobbyist, I'll tell you, helping kids like Genevieve wasn't always easy. What you're showing right now is a picture of me with Dennis Perone. He wrote Proposition 215 along with 11 other co-authors in 1996. That was the first law to legalize cannabis again in California. Is where it started. California was the first state to prohibit cannabis, also with prohibition.
Funny how that works,
Also,
huh?
yeah, also the first to re-legalize it, and Dennis Perone was the leader of that crowd. And in his final year, I was his compassion provider. At the time that photo was taken, I was explaining to Dennis about Genevieve's law, a piece of legislation I'd written as a lobbyist I was going to present. And he didn't like it because it's too long. So I flipped it over because I said, well, this is just named after my girlfriend's daughter. Well, Genevieve's now my daughter, and she's almost 20 years old. Okay. Then we got by. But I flipped it over and wrote Perone resolution on it, made it a one-page item. And, Dennis passed away in 2018. And that's 5 years ago. I mean, so much history, so much time has gone by. And now Sydney is showing a photo of it. That's
Yeah.
Genevieve's little
Just up
sister.
there.
Jen's dad died in 2007 to an overdose to opioids. And that
Oh,
fueled me to quit. After 24 years of using opioids myself, I quit in 2019. In this cancer battle, I've had to take a little bit of medication here and there, but it's been like, okay, half of this, 1/10 of this, keep it away. I don't want it. Throw it all away. I mean, it's been nice, but Genevieve's little sister's dad passed away a couple years ago. So now I've got two girls, that count on me. And it all came from compassion. I mean, I was a man traveling out of a suitcase all over the nation, giving away oils. I rented a room that I was rarely in. And that was my existence. I was ready to die. I had cancer. She was a little girl sitting in the hospital all summer long in 2016 while I was struggling to stay alive. And our paths crossed, and the cannabis love story was born. And it truly was between me and Genevieve to begin with. We connected so strong. I sat with this girl who I was told had 30 grand mal seizures a day after giving her oil, and we communicated with each other. After being told that she didn't use her iPad anymore, she turned her iPad on and talked to me with it. After being told that she wouldn't let anybody in her room, I walked into her room and sat down right next to her, and she smiled. We took a photo together. It's the first picture we have. And the cannabis love story is so beautiful because it goes on and on and on. Because first, it's a compassion provider meeting this girl in need and helping her and creating this bond that I didn't have with any other child through thousands of people I interacted with. And then a month later, I saw she broke her iPad, and I reached out to her mom. And I was like, I got the funds, gathered up my hippie friends here. We want to bring her an iPad. And I did the next day, and her mom was like, I want to show you a car show. I want to show something downtown. And we left for 4 hours. And that was 2016, so we had our first date. And I didn't see her, Anne Marie, Genevieve's mom, again for another month. In late October, I didn't see her again until late November on her birthday. So we dated once a month for a few hours, like a 1950s romance, okay? So the Cannabis Love Story is a book that needs to be written. I have an editor on it. I've had a lot of health issues in 2023, battling cancer again, so we haven't quite written it yet. But I believe that the Cannabis Love Story is something that everybody should read because, you get into these articles and you get a whole different picture of this plant. Not just healing, not just claims made by people, oh, use this and that and it will help this and that, but love and how when you look at the photo that's up on your screen, I just smile looking at it. I don't even have my glasses on and I smile, but I remember taking that picture with her, and man, that was in 2017 when that photo was taken. We were bonding at a carousel, and now we're getting ready to launch Genevieve's Dream, an actual brand named after her. It's also CBGA to fund her carousel. Genevieve will be the only person, because she's not a child anymore, that's disabled like her, that has a brand named after her that owns it. The trademark is in her uncle's name and will be transferred to her. Genevieve will own her brand. Genevieve will get 10% off of sales from her brand, whether the entity makes money or not, every single time to fund her Carousel Challenge Dream. And that's a website you could go to now that I would love to show people if you have a moment. It's carouselchallenge.com.
Oh, let me look it up. Carousel.
Okay. Carouselchallenge.com. And Genevieve's love for carousels was so intense. It's where we truly bonded in the first few times that we were together. We'd go to this local ride, and all throughout 2017, our first year together, this local ride was where Genevieve and I had just so much fun all the time. And I entered her world of carousels like nobody else did. And I think it's one reason why she grasped onto me so much, because I love them too. And I rode with her, and one day the ride
Carousel,
was gone.
what was it again? Carousel, what's the last part?
Challenge. Carousel Challenge.
After I figured out how to spell. Okay.
Yeah. So Genevieve's love for the carousel is literally the only reason why I'm in the cannabis industry. Anybody that likes what I do, and there's a lot of them out there in scattered areas, and some don't, but they should thank Genevieve, because I wouldn't even be in this if it wasn't for her. She wants a carousel. And when you go to carouselchallenge.com, you don't see a website about products for sale or anything like that, because there are none. All you see is a little girl's dream. And I need to update it and put some more pictures that are current, because this dream hasn't stopped. I created Carousel Challenge for Genevieve in 2019 and created a nonprofit thinking, hey, the industry will fund it. And it didn't happen. Instead of getting help from industry, they tended to, I shouldn't say they, but some entities tended to borrow me and Genevieve in our story to market their products.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And
People do that.
That didn't exactly make Mama happy. And Mama was the only one stopping me from creating a product line or something like that, because I was ready to some years ago. And she was like, no, just don't.
But at the same time, if it actually is helping people, well, if it's going to help people.
We had issues creating Genevieve's Dream. We actually created the corporation, the nonprofit, and all that. In 2019, she turned 17 when I made the Carousel Challenge. When I did not get the anticipated help, and in February of 2020, I created Genevieve's Dream Corporation, which I've since dissolved. Because it just never happened, to create the dream farm and create income to fund her carousel, this grandiose plan to putting a carousel on a farm, and we would live there and all this stuff, and there'd be a work program for disabled kids. Beautiful plan, right? But just no funds. I mean, it happened at the start of the pandemic, and that really hurt us bad. Industry couldn't really support us. Nobody could. People couldn't support themselves. People were
Exactly.
counting on the,
I used to be able to totally support my program before all that happened too. Anyway.
So really what the bottom line of it is, there's no way to fund Genevieve's Dream, which is the Carousel Challenge, without going into business, without creating something. So we created that actual corporation, and she was 17 then. Okay, so the reason why I'm making that point again is that she turned 18 that summer. And by the next January, CBGA, which was really unknown by most of the science, nobody was really paying attention to that. And Oregon State University popped out a study about how it stopped the replication of COVID in the Petri dish. And it just went huge everywhere. The wholesale value and costs went through the roof of the cannabinoid. The availability to consumers was just nowhere. Now they knew about it and they couldn't get it, or if they could, it was limited and high priced. And here I'd been offering it, giving it away on and on and on for years. So I was like, let's what do we do? So I was like, now that it's no more, well, let's move Genevieve's Dream forward. And at the same time, I was in the midst of doing her conservatorship. She turned 18. And I had to look at everything now as her conservator, not as her dad. And because I'm a former lobbyist, I'm able to actually move myself from one seat to the next legally. I mean, it's literally a different chair you're sitting in as a conservator. Mm-hmm. So dad can launch a brand, pull in the funds, do whatever he wants. Conservator, no. Truly, the conservator's job for a child, even a guardian, and truly even a parent, in my opinion, if you brand a product after anybody, they should get something from that. They should be earning money from that. If somebody says Mike Robinson's magic oil somewhere, starts marking it, I'm going to sue the hell out of them, right? So why should I, even being daddy, even being the guy that came in and helped her have this great life again, which was actually a plant, love, and God, in my opinion, which made that happen, but that's my opinion. But anyway, I had to look at this and go, let's dissolve the corporation and come back with this plan. We can't have a corporation that you and I own, me and Mom. Genevieve has no ownership in this at all, and it's named after her. And I've never been forthcoming to the public about why that was all done, but that's why. It's just, there is no reason to continue moving forward in something that wasn't made. And because of the fact that she turned 18 and we did that conservatorship, my viewpoint changed. And my viewpoint changed radically. And to be honest with you, I started examining a lot of things done in this whole entire industry and how the disabled people really have been used to market products. And I had to stop and wonder, are these disabled people being compensated? I mean, I know that I fought cancers and things like that, and I ended up in magazines or this or that, and they're selling ads, they're doing this. So a lot of times you have to look at what are you doing and what is it truly helping the person. So when I looked at Genevieve's Dream and launching this CBGA brand, literally making her the face of CBGA, like rest in peace, Charlotte. She passed in 2020, but basically like the new version of this. This is like Charlotte's Web, but not. Instead, it's Genevieve's Dream, CBGA, CBG, which people just haven't had and haven't heard of, and they need to, because what we've learned, we've learned that the endocannabinoid system operates off of endocannabinoids. We've learned that the plant lives off of cannabinoids. So truly, a cannabis plant creates cannabinoids for the cannabis plant. As soon as we harvest that plant, like a THC plant, we go in and pull the buds up, it dies. Okay, because cannabinoids convert. THCA converts to THC, converts to CBNA, converts to CBN. So slowly the plant would turn brown and live longer and longer. So the action of the cannabinoid in nature is for the plant. The action of the endocannabinoid in nature is for the human body and the human mind and the human endocannabinoid system. The fact that a plant constituent lands on a cannabinoid receptor is a beautiful thing. That's a gift. But it shouldn't cloud our minds with what we need to do in order to stay medicated right. And it's one of the biggest reasons why I came forward with this CBGA, because people are like, what is CBGA?
CBGA. I know, that's what I was. I didn't know what it was either. I mean, I know about the CBD, but I hadn't heard about the CBG. And then I'm going, well, what the heck is that? You know, but it's funny that when you bring up the cannabinoid, the endocannabinoid system. I did a show on a radio show a long time ago about, I was talking about the endocannabinoid system. And I said, if your doctor doesn't know what an endocannabinoid system is, you need a doctor.
Even better yet, you know, when I talk to doctors, it's a little bit different, especially if they don't know who I am at all. Here in Santa Barbara, it's a small community, and the American Academy of Cannabinoid Medicine is here. So a lot of doctors do know my name and who I am. And I can't hide it so much. It shows up on charts too, what I do. It's got my title. You know, and the thing about it is often when I find a doctor not too savvy on it, I'll ask them the question, doctor, do you truly know the definition of a cannabinoid? And they'll start talking about weed. They'll start talking about the cannabis plant, THC only. And then how I get a doctor's attention is with CBGA. And I say, whoa, doc, you've got a negative connotation about cannabis because you're focusing on THC. You don't want kids using it. I can respect that. It's fair enough. You know, you want adults using it recreationally, so you're worried about some things and you got negative thoughts in your mind. But let's look at apples. What's the precursor molecule or the stem cell for an apple? Pectin. And we see pectin's use all over the place, right? This is this awesome thing with pectin. Oh, I gotta have it for beauty products, this, that, everything else. You know, so I'll say that to the doctor. And I'll say, do you know what precursor molecule creates the cannabinoids that you fear that started the Reefer Madness campaign with everybody high? What cannabinoid and what endocannabinoid looks like it? And they'll change the subject. And I'll ask them, look, please, you know.
That's what they do. Yeah. That's funny.
Then I share, that's when I share my bio with them. And it's on a website, Researcher OG. Easy one.
Yeah, I think.
So on researcherog.com, it actually has my bio and it shows a lot of appearances. Probably 35.
I can bring that up too.
Over the last several years, and that just shows more about who I am as a researcher, who I am as a person. I used to do a lot of consulting, but researcherog.com has no pay point. It will not collect your funds because I do not charge for consulting. I don't do it. I just help people. You know what I mean? But the bottom line of it, though, is I introduce doctors to cannabis by backpedaling away from their thoughts of reefer, from their thoughts of people smoking weed, and say, look, let's look at the stem cell of apples. Compare that to the precursor molecule for cannabinoids, CBGA. This one cannabinoid makes THCA, CBCA, and CBDA. When it's heated, it turns to CBG. So CBG doesn't make a whole lot of anything except for itself. You know, but CBGA has the power to make literally 100 different cannabinoids or more.
Literally, it has the skeleton, the main skeleton that takes it forward. It reminds me when you brought that up that it sounds like the pituitary gland. They call that the mother of all glands, and I've seen them call CBG the mother of all cannabinoids.
Yeah, that's the mother of all cannabinoids, CBGA. I won't take credit for coining that phrase, but it's something that I've been using for probably 7 or 8 years. I don't know who said it first, but truly, CBGA is the granddaddy. The mother of all cannabinoids is a great way to put CBGA, but truly, if you look at CBD, for example, CBD comes from CBDA. Okay. And where does CBDA come from? CBGA makes CBDA, which makes CBD. So that would make CBGA the grandparent of CBD. Same thing with THC. Okay, so it could be CBGA could be the great grandparent of some cannabinoids. So genetically speaking, who's got the strongest genetic structure in your family? Just asking you a question right now. When you look at your family right now and all your old family photos, anybody out there, go look at the black and whites from the 1800s if you got them. The history of your family from wherever they came from. Who looks like they have strong genes and when? Was it somebody in 1984? Was it somebody in 1882? 1912? I would guess that those prior years are older pictures. The soldier in 19, and if you look at that, you can see the difference, and it's a huge one. The way that our bodies have changed and morphed over the years is incredible. And it's the same thing with cannabis plants. They've changed over the years. So if you look at molecules and the precursor molecules and strengthen genetics, if your great grandfather has the strongest genes that created your whole family line, it's just sort of simple math to say, hey, what cannabinoid could probably handle an umbrella of issues instead of, this list or that list. Maybe there's a cannabinoid that can cover almost every list, and when I look at CBGA, it's the one that I feel has the greatest potential. And I'm not alone. The big pharma world is after that cannabinoid in a huge way, synthesizing it, pulling it out from other plants. It's been all over recently in social media news that CBGA was found in another flowering plant. Well, guess what, folks? It's in a bunch of other different plants. So, and I'm not the only one that knows that. If they're starting to release information, and on the CBGAcrumble.com blog, you'll actually read an article about CBGA found in other plants. So we're talking about a precursor molecule that's so strong it creates cannabinoids not just in all these different cannabis types of plants. It doesn't matter whether it's a THC plant, a CBD plant, a CBG plant. Now they're making CBC plants. All of them start out with CBGA first. And this is why I have such strong belief that this is the cannabinoid that people should be using. They should be looking at the options and the potentials of it. Now, others may feel differently, and a lot of people say, Mike, wait a second, sounds like you're selling this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not selling anything. Once again, I'm here for my daughter's carousel. That's all. And she didn't respond to CBDA or CBD. When we gave Genevieve CBD as a compassion patient, she actually seized. And she had severe epilepsy. And the first oil I gave her was THC. So I was like, I had to go back to THC again. So I was trying to figure out a way. What do I give to the kids that don't respond to CBD? And a bunch of adults, because almost every adult I ran into had issues. Most would respond at first and then they'd stop. So what can I give them that they keep responding to? And that's when I stumbled across this cannabinoid. And that's what I didn't even know what it was. And I figured it out. It was shown to me, and then I figured out how to get it. And, it was only discovered in the late 90s that CBGA is a precursor to all cannabinoids other than the varin cannabinoids, which are rare. And so CBGA, makes the THC and the CBDs and the CBGs and all these different things that people are buying out there in the market. And I just think it's important that people look at every option. And that's why, as somebody who loves THC, somebody who smokes cannabis, uses THC oils in all kinds of different areas of my life for serious issues, you know.
Yeah, I have too. I've seen people using it for pain.
And it works.
That's a big one right there, because those opioids are really, people get hooked on them. They cause problems.
I got hooked on opioids so bad, and when I went to go use THC to get off them, I've been using it for 3 years in a cancer battle. So every day for 3 years, I've been using THC oil. Now I want to quit taking the oxy that I've been using through the whole time with the THC. Okay. So I didn't quite figure the math out on that when I suddenly just quit taking the drug. But the withdrawal was so heavy. And then when I started using THC for it, I already had a tolerance. But that really wasn't the issue. The issue was that the THC caused me to get lightheaded and dizzy. And in a withdrawal, you're already lightheaded and dizzy and feeling strange and odd. So I had a hard time balancing my system out. And I had to figure out, what do I do? And I'll tell you, I didn't know what to do. And there's been so many times in life where I felt that way, where I just felt like wake up in the morning and I'm just like, I can't center myself. And that's where that bucket right there on your stuff, a piece of that. It's literally like this. It's literally like this. I mean, like, do
you eat it?
I just take a piece of it like this, like that right there, and this was a smokable product. So literally, I joint ventured with a lab that made something as a smokable product, so we could launch it to the market, and for the most part, I could teach people to ingest it, because why smoke something that has an acidic element? As soon as fire hits it or heats hit it, you lose the A, and the power is in that A with CBGA. So once you get something hot, you decarboxylate it and you lose the A. So if you do that to CBGA that makes all these different cannabinoids, it just moves on over to CBG, which is nowhere near as powerful. It's more like CBD. In all of this, one thing I found was that I didn't have to make a single medical claim about CBGA, because what I find is that it balances our endocannabinoid system, which is not recognized in medicine. It's what
University. A lot of things aren't recognized in medicine. They don't detox people, and we're eating poison all the time. So
we're starting to see some endocannabinoid medicines, but right now, I'm actually working with a very well-known author on a book called The Art of Endocannabinoid Medicine for next year. I mean, we know what we're going to put in it, kind of thing. We just haven't done it yet because, you put certain things in books nowadays and they just end up in hands of people that make pills. And, sometimes if you're trying to stop that and get people away from that, it's best to sort of hold back. I mean, I'm watching research come out right now that is the basis of The Art of Endocannabinoid Medicine's book. Theoretically, probably 3 years ago, this was the discussion to write this book. I was like, oh, let's hold off. And now we're just starting to see science catch up on some of those things. And truly, a lot of people are like, Mike, what are you talking about? And endocannabinoid system, right, in our brain, peripheral body, receptors all over our skin, that whole system needs medicine.
And you know what? Everybody's cannabinoid deficient because we have, not everybody, but most people are, because we have been so brainwashed. I'm not anymore on that particular subject. I haven't been for a long time. But when it comes to cannabis, people have been so brainwashed of THC, and so it's lost its perspective in terms of its medicinal value. and it has a lot of medicinal value.
Well,
And
yeah, it does. It's true. One thing I find is that I use THC. I love it. And tons of people I know with issues I have use it. Okay, and you know,
I use it for
I found,
insomnia.
what I found is that if I got my body going by using a metabolic substance, like this crumble, for example. I mean, I'll show it to you again. It's sort of cool looking.
Yeah, it
It
is.
looks like hash.
I was just going to say that. That looks like hash.
I call it the hash of hemp.
Blonde.
And the crumble, to me, I get up and ingest it first thing in the morning. I just ingested that small piece with you and no more for the day, because how I work is sort of in this odd protocol where I wake up and I'm looking for a metabolic movement. And before we start this podcast, I'll be very transparent. I took a hit off this joint that I showed earlier. But that's all I needed. And I'm the son of a hippie born on a commune in Weed, California. Okay, I didn't smoke weed till I was like 8 years old. And the bottom line of it is, I was a race car driver, smoking weed, and even in the pits, smoking weed. I mean, the bottom line of it is, racing and weed don't mix. I shouldn't send that message. But the bottom line of it is that I've smoked cannabis my whole life, and I love cannabis. I have tie-dyes. My office around me has hangings and paintings of weed leaves. I'm a total stoner, and I'm bringing to the market something that will help people that are total stoners.
And that's beautiful.
But I believe, I shouldn't say total stoner, I'm a successful stoner. I actually have thesuccessfulstoner.com. Actually runs right into.
Oh, really?
It runs into researcher. Oh, gee, I have like 30 websites, and they redirect into stuff. And I like the successful stoner. I love using that because there's such a negative connotation of people that smoke cannabis. And why should you say, oh, I smoke cannabis, so I'm better than a stoner because I smoke it in a modulated way? Well, guess what? The stoner does too. He smokes it the way he wants. You smoke it the way you want. And this has a lot to do with that message I had in the very beginning for doctors and everybody else about using this plant the way they want. If you leave somebody alone, I can tell somebody, hey, here you go. Here's an ounce of crumble. You know what I mean? They get it and go, okay, Mike, how much should I use? I'm saying, okay, take this little piece. And I don't stick my fingers in products. This is just my own stuff, right? You know what I mean? But the bottom line of it, if I give this to you and say, here, and walk away, I'm not there anymore. You can text me, I could be busy. You're not going to wait 4 hours. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to try that. Oh, I like that amount. I think I'll try this. I didn't feel too much off that. I'm going to take a little bit more. And then you're busy all day, and you're like, whoa, I had a busy day. Phew, I forgot to smoke my weed. And this is what happens to your average person that smokes cannabis, dabs, or uses oils. They forget because they're using a cannabinoid in the morning that's pounding on all the other receptors, but not in the way that they're used to. They're using a cannabinoid in the morning right away in a big dose like I do that's hitting the receptors with endocannabinoids. It's promoting the production of them in the system, and it's bringing them front and center to the receptors, actually bringing anandamide and 2-AG, these very important neurotransmitters that we're all very deficient in. Imagine a world in which we could rebuild that system.
That whole neural network is in jeopardy in so many ways with what's going on now too, and having a substance that can build that neural network and protect it, and that's what I've been reading about it. That's a whole other area of it. That actually, it's like a protection. But I think the important part is we don't want people to think it's not something that gets you high. It's just balances system.
It balances. He says it gets you energized. People, I have people that use it that have used CBGA crumble for the longest time in replacement of the other dark oils they're using. Instead of using those oils, they quit. They started using this instead because it energizes and does a lot of the same things, which I can't talk about because they're all health claims. You know what I mean? But the bottom line,
I got a disclaimer. I got a disclaimer at the end of the show.
well, I can't on a product say a product does anything, you know. But the bottom line of it is that we know that our endocannabinoids do a lot. They're far more powerful than our cannabinoids. And that's what I love about having the CBGAcrumble.com thing. And that's why I held out to get that website in a joint venture with an extract lab that produces it solely for the brand and Genevieve's Dream. You know, CBGA also produced for that, you know, so I could bring a price point to consumers they can afford. They could actually come in and get something far, far less price than what they're paying in dispensaries for their THC that helps them if they use THC. And if they don't use it, it's another option. A lot of people have tried THC and CBD and are going, now what? And everything else out there that they see CBG in doesn't have an A on it, or it's very low milligrams, or it's not constant. There's just no option for anybody. And most people don't even know that there is a CBGA. And that's the important,
you're right.
That's the importance truly of Genevieve's Dream. Her mom and I decided to can that corporation for so many different reasons. We looked at a logo that had her name on it with a carousel horse, and we were like, I'm going to have to tell a story of a carousel every single time. And it was such a hassle, we thought, like, this just isn't right. We'll be using her story to market. And we dissolved the corporation because of that. And now this new plan with this new entity bringing forth the brand, not an entity, not a corporation, not something to go big on Wall Street or do anything like that, but something to give Genevieve a better life and something that will be transparent. We're talking about creating like an interest for type of account that her funds on every sale go directly to. And it's like a thermometer kind of reading, like this is how much funds Genevieve's made. So and today, you know, we had to talk about, you know, what will we do if this brand goes huge? I mean, CW Sciences with Charlotte's Web, I mean, they sold billions of dollars in oil so far. I mean, what if something like that happened? You know, where her brand became worth $500 million, like their stuff is on Wall
Probably
Street.
not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, the benefits of hemp and cannabis and related products are just exploding now. I mean, you can build houses and planes and everything out of them besides their health benefits. It's amazing.
We decided that quality was far better than quantity, and that we don't have any desire for that kind of number. None.
Can't even relate to
it. to give her a better life, to give her a life where she's not waiting for the next state-funded service, where she doesn't have to get an approval through the state for something, where I don't have to sign off as her conservator for this or that and wait 60 days for a service that doesn't happen because somebody doesn't show up, and then they use the pandemic from years ago happening, you know, to say why they can't show up in 2023. Genevieve doesn't talk. So all these different excuses, being her conservator is interesting because I get to like put my glasses on and go, okay, I look different now because I'm now Genevieve. And I'm now going to speak for her as a conservator, and I actually get to be her. And and that made the approach of all of this so different, and it made us say, look, let's make something unlike this industry has ever seen anywhere in the world.
Whoa! I don't know where Mike went. I think he accidentally shut himself off. The picture went off. Something. Are you? I don't know what hype meant. I'll tell you what. Why don't you go out and come back in? You know, take yourself out and use the link again and come back in, and you'll be fine. I can't hear you now for some reason either. So if you just hit the 3 dots, it'll let you, oh, there you go. I don't know what happened to you. Okay, well, we'll give them a couple minutes to figure out what's going on there. There you are. I don't know what happened.
I don't know if I lost you there or I lost the ability to talk.
Yeah,
or
you're going. Now we see
what
you.
happened.
Now we see you. Now
But I
we
can't hear
don't.
you.
But you're back. So, oh, you can't hear me?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Okay.
Okay.
I can't.
All right. We'll talk again sometime.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. And I hope you enjoyed this. It was very informative. And I believe I have all the websites that we mentioned and we viewed for a few minutes. They're all available in the description. And I would highly encourage you to look into this, especially if you have any of the health issues related to the CBG. There's a number of CBGA puts it in the exact precursor position so that it can make all the different cannabinoids based on balance and need, because we have an intelligent design in our body and in our plants, and we work synergistically when we don't have the interference of corporate America or corporate pharmacy that prefers to have us be sick because they make money off of us. So it's definitely something I would strongly suggest you look into. And even if you are from what he was saying, if you are a cannabis user, it will, you use the CBG like in the morning, and it gives your body the precursor to make whatever cannabinoids your body needs. And then if you smoke, in addition, you won't probably won't smoke as much of it because your body will start making what you need. So that's one of the beauties of natural medicine. And I hope you enjoyed this show. And we don't make any medical claims. We have to be so careful about that sort of thing. But I do have a disclaimer at the end here. And I also sell another cannabis product. Well, I'm not selling this product. So, but anyway, it's, I think it's something you really should look into. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And this is a listener supported program. So if you have any ability to be able to help me out some, I would greatly appreciate it. I live on next to nothing, and because everything costs so much and everything's gone up. I used to be able to be working part-time, but I'm not anymore. And since since the scamdemic. And so if you're in a position at it, and it makes you part of the truth movement as well, and the health movement, health freedom movement. This is health freedom too. That's another way of looking at it. So let me, inexpensive to support the program is through Patreon. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you know more now than you did before. So see you again soon. Thank you.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now, don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show